Hey guys, it's John from Gorilla News, and I'm doing a quick video today on mass arrests aren't coming. Wake up. So I've been seeing a number of videos over the last few months, as I'm sure you all have, about all these mass arrests that are supposedly coming and all the sealed indictments. Every month we hear all these people come out and say, on this date, next month, this or that is going to happen. Get ready for mass arrests or whatever. It's not going to happen, folks. These big players are not going to jail. They certainly aren't going to Guantanamo Bay. I mean, seriously, who believes this stuff? I was in law enforcement for 8 years, and I worked in the legal system for over 20 years. I've been involved in and have investigated numerous different kinds of cases, including a triple homicide. If something was going to happen, for instance, to Hillary Clinton, it would have happened by now. But there's been nothing, and there will be nothing, and there will continue to be nothing. Yes, investigations take time, but ample time has passed. You have a bunch of people with no real law enforcement or legal system experience trying to explain all this away. Yes, some low-level goon will probably fall on the proverbial sword and go to Club Fed, and then they will decry how justice has been served. Obama, Hillary, any of those big players, not going to jail. People like that don't go to jail. And I'm going to address a few of the idiotic videos I've seen circulating lately. Marines to make mass arrests. Well, this is probably one of the stupidest ones I've seen. The Marines aren't going to arrest anyone in the United States, especially corrupt politicians. The military doesn't have authority or even the training to make arrests of civilians who are not wanted for a matter on a military reservation. Yes, the president could declare an emergency, which would allow military to enforce laws on civilians. However, this is not going to happen. Look up Title 10 and Posse Comitatus. Google it. Corrupt politicians are not a national emergency, as much as you may like to think they are. You know as much as I do that corruption in politics has been going on for years and years. It's not going to stop now. If arrests were going to occur, it would be by law enforcement, specifically the investigating agency and/or the agency who issues the warrants for arrest. The Huber hearing. The Huber hearing turned out to be a total joke. All the build-up leading up to it, this date or that date, it's all coming down. Yeah, that happened. The guy didn't even show up to testify. That's how serious the FBI is taking this. And I've heard some people say, well, he can't say anything or even be at the hearing when there is an ongoing investigation because somehow that could be used against him or the investigation. Well, that's a lie. Once again, you have no law enforcement or legal types trying to tell you how this works. Law enforcement makes statements all the time regarding active investigations, if only to say there is an active investigation and they can't make a statement. You've probably seen this many times on the news. They may even discuss certain aspects of an ongoing investigation that won't affect the outcome of the pending court case or charges. Him being there would not affect the outcome of any court case or charges. Anyone who tells you this doesn't know what they're talking about. Huber hasn't interviewed anyone, hasn't called for a grand jury to hear evidence or witnesses. They haven't talked to whistleblowers or former FBI agents who claim to have evidence about the Clintons, Clinton Foundation, and the Uranium One scandal. The private financial crimes analysts, Lawrence Doyle and John Moynihan, turned over more than 6,000 pages of evidence regarding the Clinton Foundation and the fraud and corruption going on in it. They mailed it in April and May of 2018 and got nothing back from the FBI or the Justice Department. In October, they were told the material had been lost, so they FedExed the documents again. On November 30th, they were told the documents would be reviewed. The hearing was in early December, clearly not enough time to review 6,000 pages of evidence. These two do this for a living, so it's safe to say they have pretty strong evidence showing corruption. They won't release the information because they are trying to make money off providing this information to the IRS and FBI. They would get a percentage of tax money owed to the IRS. In this case, it could be tens of millions of dollars, so it's understandable that they would hold on to it. They've done all the work for the FBI and the IRS in that particular part of the case, and yet it wasn't even looked at. Even though the FBI had months to review these documents, Based on what could have been told in the media alone, based on what we've been told in the media alone on Uranium One and the FISA warrant violations, charges could have already been filed. The FISA documents were a clear violation of law, and yet nothing. Investigations take time. Yep, they sure do, but really, not this much time. Again, you've got all the non-law enforcement or legal types running around saying it takes time, it takes time. Yes, investigations take time, but seriously, we've seen adequate evidence in certain aspects of these cases to file charges. I've been involved in numerous different kinds of investigations, including a triple homicide investigation when I was an investigator. It took maybe 6 months from start to finish. Charges could definitely have been filed at this point for the FISA warrant violations. They clearly lied to the court and falsified information to obtain that illegal warrant. Those would be felony charges. Trump could have declassified all this information and made it available to the public like he said he was going to, but he has not. You've got to ask yourself why. You've got to step back and look at this realistically. It's been 2 years, no meaningful hearings, no charges, no declassification. He is the president. If he really wanted to do that, he would have. Oh, he's waiting for midterms. Nope. Oh, he's waiting for this or that. These are lies, so people can keep making these statements and pushing their false narrative. Keep holding on to the idea that somehow it's all different than it usually is. Democrats now control the House. Republicans had 2 years to actually get something done and didn't. If it was going to happen, it would have happened before the Democrats got control of the House. Do you think they're going to go along with anything now? My contacts tell me. Who do you think these YouTube news people are talking to? I mean, honestly, do you think they really have some high-ranking CIA, FBI, or Justice Department people feeding them information? Please. They don't. They just don't. Most of them have no connection to government or law enforcement. I've been in law enforcement for many years, and people in law enforcement generally don't run around talking about cases to people who don't have these connections. Yes, leaks happen, and it's disgraceful. But when they do, the people talk to mainstream media where it's going to get the most bang for its buck. I would be extremely skeptical of anyone on YouTube who claims they're talking to high-level government officials. How did they meet these people? How did they meet these people they get information from if they didn't previously have established connections of some kind? The said government official just reached out to them? I mean, come on. Use your common sense. The only exception I would see would be YouTubers who were previously affiliated with mainstream news or had relationships in the past with insiders, or were previous high-ranking law enforcement or military. And just because someone was in the military for 4 years doesn't mean they know General Mattis. The sealed indictments. Yeah, so? I mean, I love all the speculation about these indictments. Has anyone stopped to see on average how many indictments the Justice Department issues? Nah. So, yeah, it may be above average. So what? No one knows who these indictments are for, and all the speculation and assumption is going to result in a huge letdown and all the usual people making all kinds of excuses as to why it didn't happen. My favorite stupid assumption is the speculation that the Clintons, Obamas, and Bushes were all served indictments at the Bush family funeral by someone leaving envelopes in their programs. I mean, are you serious? Are you seriously peddling this crap and people are buying it? No one is serving indictments at a funeral. And that wouldn't even be legal service. I mean, how do you take someone serious when they are reporting garbage like this? We have people lip-reading what Laura Bush supposedly said when her paper dropped out of the program. Come on, don't be ignorant. The legal system doesn't work this way. Politicians are going to Guantanamo Bay. Now, this one is laughable. I mean, please. Guantanamo Bay is for terrorists and enemy combatants. No matter how corrupt our politicians are, they aren't terrorists or enemy combatants. They have the same legal protections you and I do. Any American does. Do you even understand what a military tribunal is? Wikipedia defines it as a military courts designed to try members of enemy forces during wartime, operating outside the scope of conventional criminal and civil proceedings. The judges are military officers and fulfill the roles of jurors. Military tribunals are distinct from courts martial. A military tribunal is an inquisitorial system based on charges brought by military authorities, prosecuted by military officers, and sentenced by military officers against a member of an enemy army. The last military tribunals held in the U.S. were during World War II against 8 German prisoners accused of espionage and planning sabotage. Does that sound like anything that would apply to corrupt politicians? I mean, come on, Google it. You may feel like they are traitors or enemy combatants, but this isn't about your feelings, is it? Unfortunately, they have the same rights you and I are afforded, the same protections. If anything happens at all, they will be tried in an American court and go to an American prison. But in my opinion, this is unlikely. I'm sorry, but you're not going to see Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama being marched into Guantanamo Bay. The bottom line is this is business as usual. I mean, I voted for Trump. He was the lesser of two evils. Please tell me, though, what has changed. Some little tweaks here and there, but nothing major. Lots of promises that have gone unfulfilled. This is all the same sort of circus act we have seen for years when it comes to political corruption and fraud. These people are too big to fail. They aren't going to jail. Mark my words. Even though they absolutely should, and you should be sick and tired of this. You should expect and demand more from your politicians and government law enforcement agencies. What we have seen over the last 2 years is nothing short of a total shit show. When will enough be enough? Open your eyes and mind. Don't blindly follow. Look at all the information and make up your own mind. We can do better than this. We can't tolerate this behavior, this corruption to the very core of our country anymore. The people who are reporting this stuff are seriously making conservatives, true conservatives, and the alt media look like idiots. I mean, if you're fed up with all this garbage, I would say don't even refer to yourself as a conservative anymore. We are patriots. Look at reality. Look at things for how they truly are, and fight for change. Wake up.